Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Miller. Every week, I chat with fascinating people from all walks of life in order to bring you knowledge, inspiration, and insight. If you enjoy the show, you can support it by subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with a friend. This is the Jeremy Miller Podcast. Stash. I love the stash, man.
Dude, it's my new thing, and I'm like, I can't even imagine being without it now.
Not having it? That's so funny. How long have you been growing it for?
Since the beginning of the year. So almost 6 months.
That's impressive.
Dude, it's wild.
Dude, it'd take me like 6 years to grow
it's
something like
so silly. It's like the concept of a mustache is so funny. It's just like hair on your upper lip. Like, wow, why? How weird.
Dude, I remember when I was like 12, that's when I first started to get hair on there. I thought I was such a badass.
Oh, yeah, me
like,
too.
Oh, I'm a man finally.
Yeah.
Mitch Ammons, welcome to the podcast, dude. I'm freaking pumped to have you here.
Heck yeah, glad to be here.
Dude, it's not every day you get to sit down and chat with the fastest runner in all of Austin, Texas.
Well, I'll tell you that statement right there makes a couple people mad, but I'll own it. I'll own it. Fastest.
Who would be a runner-up?
David Fuentes.
David Fuentes. Okay. Are you faster like by the numbers?
So his most recent marathon, he just ran 4 seconds faster than my marathon. So he's now faster.
Was it the same race?
It was a different race.
Okay.
But I will give him that my course was faster than his course, so it was more impressive on his part.
Well, whatever. I mean, you guys are running stupid fast, so it's all impressive to me.
It's just a lot of time and a lot of miles. Yeah. That's all it is.
What was the last marathon you ran? Was it your OTQ?
That was the full marathon that I did last. Was the OTQ at CIM.
CIM. How was that experience?
Dude, it's so great. That's such a great race. I highly recommend it.
Was that your first time doing that one?
No, it was my third.
Third.
Yeah, the first time I did it was my first marathon, and it went really great. And I was like, man, the course is all downhill. Great course, all downhill. The second time I did it, it was like a moonshot, last attempt to qualify for the 2020 trials, and I blew up miserably. Had no business running the pace I was running, and after that race, I was like, that race is all uphill. The whole thing is uphill. And so it just depends on the day.
So like the mindset of just not thinking of it like a downhill course and trying to rely on that?
Well, it's just like I had a great day. I felt like it was all downhill. I had a horrible day. I felt like it was all uphill. The most recent one, I was like, it's rolling hills, honest course. It is a net downhill, but I think it's pretty honest. And yeah, it's just such a great, I hate saying the vibes, but it's just great. It's just great. Everyone there is so excited. It's fast. People are there to run fast, and it's a great course.
Are you going to run that one this year?
I'm not going to run it this year, but I will definitely do it again.
Do you have anything else for this year?
I do, yeah. I think this fall I'll be running so there's a coach named James McCurdy, and he's putting on a race in October. And it is specifically for people trying to either run the OTQ or run something close. So I've kind of set my sights on running 2:14 or 2:13 here this fall. And it's also like a race that I can go for broke because I've got the qualifier, and like, who cares? I can go as hard as I can for as long as I can. And if I make it to the finish, great. If not, I'll do another one in February.
That's a good mindset. I feel like those are some of the races where you'll probably run your fastest.
That's true. I mean,
there's less pressure.
Yeah, less pressure for sure.
What's the OTQ time for men?
2:17:59.
2:17.
So it went down a minute from last time.
So it was you got to break 2:19. Now it's
correct.
Break 2:18.
Correct. Yeah.
What did you run at CIM?
2:16:48.
My God.
So I was under I was a minute under. I wanted that buffer zone because, it's accomplishment no matter what to qualify for the Olympic trials, but to be a little bit under is like, that's cool.
Dude, and a minute, when you're running that fast, a minute in a marathon.
It was a bit, yeah.
That's a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot over the course of
26 miles,
over
but
2 hours.
Man.
But,
and at this point, like, shaving off a minute is just going to be hard, but I've got an ambitious goal. I've learned set ambitious goals, set goals that are just like at the time feel outrageous and impossible. And I mean, that's what I've done every time so far. And I have ended up kind of knocking them off and moving on to the next one.
That's amazing. I feel like also when you do that, even if you come a little bit short of that super ambitious goal, you're probably way further ahead.
Right. Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. It's like you can't, yeah, that is exactly how I feel about it.
What pace is that? What pace did you run at CIM? For that?
It was 5:12 pace.
5:12.
So I've got to run like 5:07 pace, 5:06, 5:07 pace for the next one.
That's so, dude, that 5 seconds a mile. Again, it doesn't seem
lot.
like a lot,
No,
but it's a lot.
It is a lot. It really is.
Man, what was let's just go back all the way to like the beginning of your running history. Like, where did you initially get into running?
So it was 5.5 years ago. I had been sober already for a couple years, and I was just like a bum. I was a pack-a-day cigarette smoker, and I ate garbage food, and I basically went to work at the restaurant that I was waiting tables at, and then the rest of the time I was either at Barton Springs, the Greenbelt, or at home watching TV, being lazy. I was kind of in this like, I wanted to change things about me. I mean, obviously because of like getting sober and everything, and I wanted to just like, keep bettering myself. And so I was walking through the park one day by my apartment when I lived in sort of downtown, and I saw this like HIIT training, like group fitness thing, and I stopped by. I was like, what are you guys doing? I was smoking a cigarette, walking the dog at the time, and I was like, what are you guys doing? And he's like, oh, this is our boot camp. You want to come join us? I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And so the next day I went, I threw the pack of cigarettes out, never smoked again.
Just quit cold turkey?
Yeah, that day.
Wow.
Yeah,
and there was some running involved in the workout?
There was a little running involved. Oh yeah, so that wasn't even the question. There was
first
some
off,
running
I
involved.
can't imagine seeing Mitch Ammons walking around smoking a cigarette.
Oh man, I was a little tubby guy, like a little fluffy. Oh yeah, I was real fluffy.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so I went to that, and then I did that for about 6 months, and I got into my head. It's like, I want to run a 5-minute mile. I want to run. I want to be a runner, and I want to run a 5-minute mile. So I ended up joining a running group here in Austin. I joined the Gazelles, which was like so awesome. Gilbert is the greatest ever. Yeah, and I want to just kind of backtrack a little bit. In that time, my motivation, and I say this to everyone that asks, I wanted a girlfriend that was athletic and fit, and my friends were like, well, why would an athletic fit girl ever be attracted to you? And I was like, you have a great point there. So I need to change some stuff.
That's a good motivation.
Yeah, right. And who knew that like it would lead to everything that it led to, like just trying to like slim down a little bit and eat a little healthier so that I could find a fit girlfriend. And here we are.
Dude, I mean, sometimes that's all the motivation you need.
Honestly, whatever gets you there, right?
Was Jordy the first? I mean, if this is too personal, let me know. We don't talk about it.
No, she wasn't.
Okay.
She wasn't. But yeah, she's the last. So
That's perfect.
yeah.
And you guys are married now, right?
We're married now.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
We got married exactly a month ago, a month and a day.
Dude, congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Well, you found your athletic fit girl. She runs, she cycles. Like,
she does it all. Yeah, and now I guess I can quit. Go back to what I was doing.
That's so funny. So you wanted to run like a sub 5 mile.
Yeah.
But that was just a part of trying to find a fit athletic
well,
girl?
I think that was after.
Okay.
I joined the boot camp because I wanted to meet fit girls, and then from there I was like, in the back of my head, I kind of, the whole time I was struggling in and out of rehabs and trying to get sober, I was decent. I was a decent runner in high school. And so in the back of my head through all of that, I was like, man, if I could just get sober long enough to like commit to a sport, running, I could possibly be pretty good. I thought that, and I had no idea what that looked like, but I had always kind of wanted to get into it. And when I got sober, once I kind of got a grasp on that, I was able to like look for other ways to better myself.
So you ran a little bit in high school?
I did. Yeah. I ran my freshman, sophomore, junior year. But I got in trouble in the middle of, I got in trouble a week before the state meet in high school, and I got kicked out of that school. And so I went to a public school, and I was just done with track. I was like, I hate it, and I hate, so I wanted to just party.
Dang.
Yeah.
Were you decent at running back then?
I was, yeah. In the 8th grade, I broke 5 minutes in the mile.
That's fast for 8th grade.
Yeah, it was fast for 8th grade, especially back
in general,
then.
that's fast.
Yeah, and even in 7th grade, I was also very good. I mean, I was like compared to the other 7th and 8th graders, and so I had high schools talking to me. I mean, in they're not supposed to recruit, but they basically do recruit. All the Catholic private high schools in Dallas definitely I don't know if you can call it recruiting, but they try and get you to come to their school.
You grew up in Dallas?
I grew up in Dallas,
Okay.
yeah. But I was decent, and so through the whole like sobriety journey, I thought that if I could ever get it together, that I could enjoy and possibly be decent at running again.
Damn. Was high school where you kind of got into partying, and is that where that all started?
Yeah, it's where it started. Yeah, pretty much.
Was it just like friends you were hanging out with, or being with the wrong people, or?
I wish I could blame it on the wrong people, but I think we were the wrong people that other people were hanging out with. Honestly, two of my best friends still today. We became good friends in like the 5th grade, 6th grade. You know, we were sneaking cigarettes from one of their parents in like the 6th grade. And we had our sights on wanting to be like the bad kids. We thought it was cool. And even to this day, I was like, we were kind of cool. We were like troublemakers, but nothing like serious. And it was cool and it was fun. It was great. But where it led was not cool. It got out of hand quick. But for that short time, it was a lot of fun.
Man, so like you said, 5th or 6th grade started. That's where
5th or 6th grade cigarettes. I think 6th or 7th and 8th grade we were smoking joints of like the dirtiest swag I've ever seen. But it was great. And then, I guess high school, it got a little more serious. Still, drinking and smoking, maybe pills, cocaine, and
in high school.
Yeah, in high school, and it was like, even going into high school, I was like, I knew I wanted to be like that guy. I wanted to use drugs, and I wanted to drink, and I wanted to be like the guy that everyone's like, oh, well, he's kind of trouble, but he's nice, but he's just kind of trouble. And so that's what we did. And high school, it was fun. It was a great time. After high school is when it kind of started to go downhill.
What do you think made you want to be that guy? Like, where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, that's a good question. We had one of these two guys, he had older brothers, and they were like the coolest thing we had ever seen ever. And we looked up to them from when we were very young. And of course they were in high school when we were in middle school. And then I think when we were freshmen, they were first year of college. And man, we just wanted to do everything that they did, and they were just like that.
Dang, so having that influence and it, at the time seemed like something.
Yeah, and I wish I could say that I was like hanging out with the wrong people, but I sought those people out. Like consciously said, I want to be like these guys. And yeah.
Did your parents know you were doing all this stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did they?
I mean, they didn't know the extent. My mom was like young, partying age in the 80s, like discos and, I guess a little cocaine here and there and stuff like that. And so like, I think in her head, we were just doing what she did, but like really we were like going to extremes. And so yeah, I mean, she caught me with all sorts of stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, I do a little bit when I'm drinking, which probably shouldn't have allowed it, but I like to think I was pretty convincing back then. And also, like, what parent doesn't want to believe their kid,
right?
So but yeah, it led where it led, but good news, I made it out the other side, which a lot don't.
Man, what was that process like? From it was like junior year of high school. Did you get in trouble for drinking drugs or that kind of thing?
Yeah. That's I got in trouble a couple times my junior year. The second time I actually got kicked out of the school.
Was it for doing it like on school property or something?
It was no, but a friend of mine had gotten in trouble, and she was like, I got it from Mitch. Like I wasn't like dealing drugs, but I would buy enough to have for my friends and I. And I mean, she did give me money for it, but I wasn't like saying like, hey, I'm the drug dealer, but like, dang, I was just sharing.
Just guilty by association.
Yeah, basically. And she got in trouble, and she was like, well, Mitch had him. And so they searched my car. They pulled me out of class and went through my car. And yeah, they were like, hey, we won't call the cops but we're asking you to leave the school. And I was like, yeah, I'm out. See ya. You
just accepted it?
I mean, yeah, there's not much I could do. I didn't want to get the police involved, and I didn't want to like really have it known to everybody, which it ended up being known, of course, small community. But yeah, and I look back at everything I did, and I don't regret anything. If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't do the same things, but I don't regret what I did because it's made me who I am today. And I think I have an advantage in that my outlook on life is just nothing's ever going to be as bad as it was. Mm-hmm. and I'm talking like from the time I started getting sober till when I actually got sober, that was awful. It was just every day was just horrible. Basically just using to not be sick. And it is just, you're a slave to this drug. And we can touch on that later or not, but it is horrible. And those things that I went through really have given me an appreciation for life. And everybody has struggles, everybody has hard times, and I can just always go back to, it's never going to be that bad. I can get through this. My dad died 2 years ago. I thought for sure that was going to be something like losing a parent that would take me out. And again, it was just like, I can get through this. I was there for my family. And it's not as bad as things were before. I can't even, there was nothing worse.
Really?
I mean, you just develop so much like self-hate. Like there's probably as much suffering as people have, but like I would bet that like having self-hate and like self-loathing is probably one of the worst things a person can go through, because there's really like, what options do you have? You can get help, and that's what I did, but it's very hard to like get help, to like build up the courage to ask someone to help you.
I can't speak from experience, but I would imagine that trying to get help that requires you admitting that you're doing something wrong.
Oh yeah. And that's a great point, because early on it was definitely out of hand, and I knew it was, but only a portion of it was. Like I was using opiates, I was using heroin and Oxycontin, and I was like, I just don't want to do that because that makes me so sick and so miserable, and I hate myself when I do it. And I wanted to cut that out, but I didn't want to like necessarily cut out drinking and smoking and stuff like that. And but I quickly learned that it all had to go for anything to work.
Man, how did it kind of continuously get worse or progressively get worse from high school?
Yeah, it really started my second semester of college. I had a roommate's friend. He was a friend. He was a great friend. He had, like, I experimented like in high school with like uppers and pills and stuff like that. He was more of like, in high school he did opiates. And so when we met, we were like, we would like share what we had done. And I was like, well, I'll try your opiates. You can try this stuff. And, who knew that mixing it was just going to be the greatest thing ever. But yeah, it just went really, really downhill when I tried opiates. Like I tried Oxycontin for the first time, and I was like, man, I want to do this every day for the rest of my life. It is so great. And
what is that feeling like when you're up like that?
I mean, it's like if you ever taken a hydrocodone, Percocet, it's just like a euphoria. It's like a full body euphoria. It makes you tired, of course, but the idea is you don't want to go to sleep because then you miss the high. But it's a euphoria. That's all it is.
How many do you have to take to get up to that
man,
point?
I mean, a person who doesn't take them could take like half a pill. I mean, they're very, very strong. Right. This medication, like Oxycontin, morphine, fentanyl, in my opinion, those should only be prescribed to people in hospice, like literally on their deathbed, because they are so powerful. You see on the news every day that these kids are dying from fentanyl overdoses. Fentanyl is such a strong drug, and people get it prescribed to them. Like the stuff that we were buying were from people who would go to doctors, get it prescribed for whatever reason, and they'd sell it instead because, there's a huge market for it. You can charge a lot for it because they're very hard to get. They should not be available to anyone unless you're dying, because it is such a strong drug. It really is. It's incredible, and it can kill you so easily. And I just want to kind of say, like I keep saying, like it was so great, but at the time it was great. It was what I knew. It was what I wanted to do. I'm not like glamorizing drug use. It's a horrible thing, but I mean, the reality is it was really fun for a long time. And then we're touching on like the self-hating and self-loathing. Like it gets horrible, and that's inevitable. Addiction will always get horrible. I didn't really answer your question. You asked about the progression. Started with Oxycontin. Oxycontin was very expensive. Went on to heroin. Heroin's super cheap, super easy to use. You can smoke it, you can snort it, you can eat it, or you can shoot it up. Of course, like the most bang for your buck is going to be shooting it up, because you get all of it at once, all at the same time. It's awful. Today I'm not ashamed about it. I feel like my story helps people. And of course, helps people that are going through addiction. But really, it's just like, I want to inspire people who are going through anything hard. Everybody has something that they're going through or have gone through. And it's as catastrophic as my addiction was to me. What they're going through is that catastrophic to them. And you can get through it. And my biggest thing is like, ask for help. Have a community. Community is so huge. I chose the fitness community, and man, it impresses me every single day. Like you and I, like we have different fitness aspirations, but like at the same time, like we're the same. We work hard. We wake up early. We work hard, and we do the best we can. And that's what we have in common, and that brings us together.
I think that's. I remember the first like interaction I had with you. I think I replied to one of your Instagram stories. Might have been after your CIM or something, or I maybe wish you luck or said how insane it was, how fast you're running. And your only response was like, we all work just as hard.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, the truth. Yeah.
You're an Olympic trials qualifier and you're like, just having the humility to be like that and not be like, oh, I know I'm way faster than you. I probably worked way harder than you. Yeah. But instead you have the reverse, the more humble, modest mindset, which is.
So I try and mention this too, is like, I do work very hard, but a lot of people work very hard. I'm very aware that I have the genetics and I have talent. So someone who's working it may not be that someone who works as hard as I am can get to where I've gotten. It's just the cards I was dealt. But at the end of the day, we're all working hard and we're all doing it for the same reason. I don't do it I love competing, but I don't do it for that. I do it to make myself better. I do it to set a goal, accomplish that goal, move on to the next one. The gratification I get from that is just so enormous, and it's really translated into everything in my life, my career, my friends. It's taught me patience and things that are worthwhile take a long time to get to. But yeah, like we're the same. We want to just do better every day.
When what year did you graduate high school?
2008.
2008, and then how long did that journey last for?
You mean like from 2008 until sobriety?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I got sober in 2015.
7 years of that.
Yeah. 7 solid years of being miserable, pretty much.
How long did it take for it to become miserable? Because you said it was good for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then it dropped off. How
so
long?
When I mentioned that second semester of my freshman year of college, that first semester I had like cleaned up my act a little bit. I went off to college. I was like, I've got to do college. Like I only get one shot at this, fortunately my parents were paying for it. So, but I have this one shot, and I was like, I got to clean my act up. So I went to college with the mindset I was just going to drink, and I was just going to drink on the weekends, and it was only going to be beer. And I did that for about 6 months. And then around, I guess it was like November or something or maybe October, towards the end of the semester is when I started trying opiates. And within like a couple months, I remember the first time I had like a withdrawal symptom, and I had no idea what it was. I was sick and I thought I had the flu or something like that. And I went and picked up some pills, and I got high, and I was like, I don't feel sick anymore. What is going on? And I was like, whatever. I moved on, didn't think anything of it.
Wow.
And then like later on, like another week went by, and I had run out, and it was not a big deal because I was like, I'll just get more later. I wasn't like worried about it. I wasn't to the point where I was like a fiend. But I had gotten sick, and my friend was like, dude, that's what opiate withdrawals are. And I was like, oh, this is horrible. Worst thing I've ever felt. Yeah. So very quickly after trying it, I was like, really, I think from the day I tried it, and from then on, I did it every day.
Every single day. And
I mean, that's how I used. The first time I smoked marijuana, I guess it was a little slower progression, but I smoked every day. I used every drug I basically used every day.
Wow. And it happened, it sounds like within a couple of months to where the withdrawal started kicking in.
Yeah. I would say a month or 2 months.
That's so fast.
And from there, until I got sober, it was just a constant cycle of, I'll start with where it started. I would get high, and then I would have to just maintain. Basically, my whole day went into like finding the drugs I was going to use so that I wouldn't be sick. And that was waking up every morning, and that was the routine. How am I going to get money? How am I going to get drugs? How am I going to, be okay? And from there, I mean, that was a cycle that I would run out of money, or I would get in trouble, and then I'd go to rehab, and then I'd get out of rehab, and I'd be sober for a little while, and then I'd be like, well, I want to drink, or well, I want to smoke. It'll be okay. And then inevitably I'm right back, shooting up heroin and cocaine or meth or whatever. And it was just a cycle over and over and over. I think it was like for those 7 years, I basically went to rehab once a year, sometimes twice a year.
Did you check yourself into rehab or
No, never. That's kind of interesting. An interesting concept. There's a lot of not opinions, but people will say, hey, you're not ready till you're ready. Well, I wasn't ready. I was not ready. The day that I went into rehab to get sober this time around, I actually got in big trouble in the treatment center because I snuck drugs in, and I got so high I passed out, and I was like in bed and I like passed out, and I had everything like sitting on my chest, and the nurse walks in, she's like, what?
Oh my
What's going
God.
on here? Like they strip you down, do a strip search. I mean, not like super formal. I think I had it like in the lining of my boxers, I had done that at other rehabs, so I kind of knew how to get away with it, but I didn't get away with it, and I almost got kicked out, and they almost called the cops, and but so my whole point is that I was not ready. I didn't go into that treatment center to get sober. I went in to dry out, get out, get a job, make some money, and then I was going to go right back to what I was doing, which is what I did every single time.
How many times did that happen?
6 or 7 times.
Jeez.
Yeah. But my point is, I wasn't ready to get sober, but I got sober.
Yeah.
And I did it sort of out of spite. Like, okay, you guys are telling me that if I do this 12-step program and I work with others and I do the things that y'all are asking, that I'll be sober. If I do it to the best of my ability, I will get sober and stay sober, and I won't obsess about using drugs. I was like, look, I've tried everything, but you know what? I will give it my all this time just to prove to you that it doesn't work. And then I'm sitting here right now and I can tell you that it works.
Really? So that final time where you went through that 12-step thing.
Yes, correct.
That truly did it.
Yes.
And the only reason you did it was to prove to them that it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
And I was like, I'll give it a shot for a couple months, and if it works, then great. I didn't like. I wanted. Here's what I say. I wanted to want to quit. I didn't want to quit, but I really wanted to want to quit.
I can understand.
Yeah.
That
And so I was like, you know what? If it makes me quit and want to stay sober, then that would be fantastic. But I just don't think it will.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it? I mean, I don't know what the 12-step program, you have to go through the whole thing, but like what about that specifically do you think was finally able to switch something?
I don't know. I could talk about the 12 steps for hours and hours and hours, but it's something that we like to keep anonymous for other people's sake.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too much into it, but it's basically just like the first part of it is admitting, yes, I do have a problem, which was easy. That's actually the first step. I have a problem. I knew I had a problem for a long time. The second step is the second portion of it is like thinking maybe there's something out there stronger than me, whether that's the universe or God or whatever it is. There's something out there. There is something out there stronger than me. I don't know. I don't care to have it explained to me. I do know that there is at least a possibility. And then, you move a little further along and you're like, okay, well, I've got to turn these things over to whatever that is, spirituality, God, whatever. I've got to turn my actions and my willpower over because I can't will my way out of this. I tried and tried and tried to will my way out. And then after that, it's kind of like just looking at yourself, looking at your defects. I can tell you 100% my reason for using. Of course, I thought it was cool and wanted to do that, but really what it comes down to is fear. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of people. I was afraid what people were going to think about me. I was afraid people weren't going to like me. I was afraid I wasn't going to be successful. All comes down to fear and self-esteem, which is fear. And so I really had to look at the things that I was afraid of, and I had to really work with someone else, and they had to like explain to me like, these are legitimate fears, but look, here's why this shouldn't be a fear because you can rely on something. Yeah. So anyway, and then after that, it's all about helping others. So, and I take that really into, I take that very seriously today with really everything. And it was told to me that you can't keep what you have unless you give it away. And so I do that with anything I know anything about. Like I want to share it with whoever. And of course it's like teaching or learning anything. You learn so much by teaching it. And you may not be the most familiar with it, but the more you teach what you do know, you pick up more things along the way. So for a long time, I was just all about giving back and helping other new guys into the program and people struggling. And that I think was really the game changer was helping others. I was told very early on that the obsession to drink and use drugs was going to leave me very quickly once I got into this 12-step program. It did. And the rest of the time, you are focusing on life. And this program could be for anybody. Everybody could benefit from this, because basically it just teaches you that like you've got to give up control and things are going to happen. You know, of course you got to try, but things are going to happen regardless of what you do. It's out of your hands, and just kind of roll with it and do the best you can. And that's sort of like it summed up. So yeah.
Wow. How long did you spend in rehab that final time?
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah. And I get asked, not often, but occasionally, that do I think rehab works? I think it's a great introduction to therapy and 12-step programs and counseling, whatever. But the biggest thing is that, because once you've been once, you've kind of had the intro, but the biggest thing is like the separation. So it would be a pain in the butt to go check myself out and get an Uber all the way back to Austin. It'd be like a, hour and a half Uber back to, it would just be a pain in the butt to do it. So that separation is enough to like motivate me to participate and work on getting sober.
Dude, that's powerful, man. I appreciate you like being vulnerable with it and sharing.
Man. Yeah. Thank you.
I would imagine that's not easy stuff to talk about.
It was a while ago. Yeah. And even then it's like, I'm not ashamed of it. Like I said, I had a great time and it just got out of hand. And I feel like really I've gotten more positive out of the whole experience than I have negative. And I had a lot of negative. I was charged with felonies, multiple times, DWIs, drug charges, felony drug charges and DWIs. I was racking them up. Fortunately, I was able to get out of everything. I have no felonies or DWIs on my record, but there was a time I wasn't sure. And even with all of that, losing friends, of course, that happened often. Right. It happens still today. Every time I'm on Facebook, I see another person that I knew who has died of a drug overdose. Jeez. Yeah. It's really there's 3 routes. You die, you go to prison, or you make it. And not many people make it sober.
That's tough. There's like a whole nother world out there that we don't even think about on a day-to-day basis. Sure that people are struggling and going through that kind of stuff. Yeah. How long did it take from like that 30-day final rehab to when you were walking through downtown Austin and went to that HIT class where you finally found some fitness and running?
So I think it was about 2 years. I think it was 2 years. So the first year was very hard. It's just so different. And I can go back to that fear thing. I was afraid of everybody. I was afraid to say hi to someone in the street. Like I was just so nervous and anxious and afraid of people, which is interesting because my first job in sobriety was waiting tables. And so I'm like walking up and I will tell you that helped me so much. It helped with my confidence. It helped me be able to talk to people. That was huge for me. And, they know it a little bit because I've told them, but my managers who hired me, and I actually relapsed while I was at that restaurant and then went back. And that was what we're talking about when I went back. They hired me back. They said, hey, I called them. I was like, hey guys, I relapsed. I got to go back to rehab. They were like, hey, you go. Your job's here when you get back. They don't realize how huge that was, just to have someone who cared enough to say, yeah, go take care of yourself. Your job's here when you get back. It was like a simple waiting job. Like I could have gotten it anywhere, but it meant so much to me. Yeah. And the support that they gave me throughout the whole, my first 5 years of sobriety, I worked at this restaurant, same restaurant, Shady Grove over on Barton Springs. It was an Austin staple. My managers there I love them so much, and they're great friends today. I've worked with them in other jobs as well since then, but it was so huge in early sobriety just to have that little bit of support. They don't have any idea how much it meant to me.
Just that bit of confidence.
Yeah.
Dude, that lack of confidence, I feel like, is what gets so many people.
Oh, big time.
Because it's a scary thing when you feel like nobody likes you, or you can't go out in public without having that anxiety.
Oh yeah, that was me. Oh yeah, that was me.
Do you feel like the drugs and alcohol, did that give you like a false sense of confidence at all?
Yeah.
Or it was just kind of an escape?
That was it. No, that was it. Either it gave me a false sense of confidence, or I just didn't care. I just didn't care what people thought. I didn't care about whatever was happening. I didn't care anything externally. I didn't care about it as long as I had my stuff. I was good. I'll go ahead and say this, but I see Austin has a lot of unhoused people. I was never homeless. I always had somewhere I could go back to, my parents or whatever. I did sleep on a lot of couches and stuff like that. I've probably spent the night on a sidewalk once or twice. But I would have been completely content living under a bridge as long as I had my drugs.
Wow.
For sure. Hands down, I know that for a fact. It just so happened that people that I knew and I had my family to fall back on. But if I'd have been homeless, as long as I had enough money to get my fix, I was fine. I didn't care at all.
That's how powerful that.
Yeah, that's how powerful it is.
That's scary, man.
Yeah.
I feel like, unfortunately, that's, I think statistics would show that that's a big chunk of the homeless population is the opioids and fentanyl and these drug addictions. Like, they might have had like a back surgery. They get hooked on these pills.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 6 months later, they're homeless.
Correct. That is 100% how that goes. And again, it goes back to where I was saying these pills should not be prescribed to people unless they're dying, because they're so addicting and they're so powerful. And really, you get them from your doctor. Yeah, they're covered by insurance. They're cheap. Once that ends and you're addicted, you got to buy them off the street, and they're very expensive on the street. And then, what's not expensive is heroin. So it's like every heroin addict for the most part I know started with opiate pills. I mean, that's where it starts, and hydrocodone, and that goes into Percocet, and then that's Oxycontin, and then you're doing fentanyl or morphine, and then heroin, because heroin's cheap as hell.
It's a slippery slope. It's scary, man.
Oh man. And it's just crazy that you have a knee surgery and they prescribe you Oxycontin. That is just, it blows my mind because it's such a powerful drug.
Jeez, man. What was it like? Well, I guess here's a question. I'm curious about, like, how often do you think about those dark days where things were really tough?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't think about the bad times, which is actually a downfall, because if I could just only remember the bad times, why would I ever go back? Right. My mind forgets the bad times and tells me it would be like the good times. That's probably what kept taking me out over and over and over, was that this idea that I could control it and I would go back to when it was fun. After the point of it not being fun anymore, it never was fun. That idea was such a wrong idea, but it was stuck in my head. So you ask about these days, I don't think about it often at all. I don't have any want to go back to it. Occasionally I'll think about like what it's like. This is sort of graphic, but what it's like taking a shot of heroin or meth or cocaine or something. It is so intense. I do think about that. I wish I didn't. I wish I could just erase that memory from my brain. But I am so much better now at like playing the tape through, like, okay, yeah, it's great for a day, and then I'm hooked, and then I use it every day, and then I'm right back to square one so quickly. And so many times I tried, like, just use one time or just use over the weekend, but it's the first time I use. After that, it's every day, all day, every day. Gosh. From then on. I can't, no matter all my willpower, there's nothing I could do to control it. Wow. And I tried and tried and tried.
That's tough, man.
It's wild. Yeah, man. It's crazy what the brain will do. And I know people don't understand it and they think it's a choice, which it was a choice at one point. But I had a psychiatrist do a presentation for me one time, and he said, like, the part of your brain that tells you that you need to eat, you need to drink water, and you need to like the necessities of life, the drug addiction takes over that part of your brain. And I can tell you that is 100% true. I didn't care if I ate. I didn't care if I had shelter or something to drink. Like, if I had my drugs, I was fine. And that's all I needed. And it was an obsession. I would obsess until I got it, and then I would run out, and I would obsess until I could get more. It really just takes over everything. It's wild.
Jeez, it literally rewires everything.
It does, yes. It does.
I think you mentioned it earlier, but you're like a slave to it.
Correct. Slave to it 100%.
Wow. That's tough, man. I'm glad that you're here now, dude.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm also glad I'm here now, and I hope someone can hear these things, and you know, maybe it doesn't have to be the same story, but anything you're struggling with, and just to like reaffirm, I did it with help from friends and community, and there's a community for everyone. It doesn't have to be fitness. It can be something that you love and people who love you because you love this and y'all have that thing in common. That was so huge for me in sobriety.
What was that journey like getting into running after all that?
Man, one of the most accepting communities I would say that there is. I don't really have experience elsewhere, but I just know, like, I walked into a running store and I met two of my best friends still today, Pam and Ryan Hess. They own the Loop Running Supply.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey guys, like, I don't know anything about this, but I need some running shoes and I need a group. And they like set me up with Gilbert. And then, I give them a lot of credit for introducing me to some of my best friends today, just because I walked into their store and said, hey guys, I want to be a part of this. I've met all of my best friends today, basically, except for like the ones that I've had forever, have something to do with running and fitness. And at some point I can be linked back to that first day.
That's cool. Dude, the running community, I mean, we're definitely biased a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but
yeah,
there's truly no other community like the running community. It's just so welcoming and encouraging.
It really is.
People talk about times and paces and all that stuff, but nobody really cares.
No one
like
cares.
You're doing your own thing.
Correct.
And you're just happy if somebody else is out there making themselves better too.
Right. We're out there where you get really close to people because you're out there suffering together. Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, and I will also just comment on the Austin running community is just really the fitness community, man. Like the guys at Squatch and the gyms and all. It's just such a great community. I'm actually grateful for my whole drug addiction, the 7 years that were awful and the decade that was pretty bad as well, because it brought me to where I am. Like the friends that I have and the communities and the people that I know. My whole business, my career is, like we were talking about before, at least 50% of it, probably more, and I'm banking on a lot more than that in the long run, is going to be from the business is going to be from my friends and people that I've met through running. I found this career through a friend that I run with. I sat down with him and he told me all about it. I was like, yes, I want to do that. I'm looking into buying and flipping homes, and I just sat down with a good friend of mine that I met very early on at the Gazelles, and she told me everything I need to do, and they're so welcoming and happy to share their trade or whatever with you. And I mean, I don't think that's anywhere else.
Yeah, that's cool, man. What brought you to Austin originally?
It was the next cool place I was gonna go to get sober.
Okay. And what year did you get here?
I got here in 2014.
Okay. So you've kind of seen it go through some crazy changes.
Yeah.
Because I've only been here for about a little bit over a year.
Oh yeah.
But dude, I love Austin so much.
I love it so much.
It's amazing. It's really the people too.
It's the people.
Everything you just said.
Yeah, it's the people.
And that's something I've noticed too, is you're always running with somebody, it seems like. Do you run by yourself very often?
Not very often. I honestly hate it.
Really?
People it's my meditation, it's my stress reliever. I hate it. It's a chore. If I'm running alone, it's a chore.
Really?
It's as horrible as sweeping and mopping the living room. It's I hate it so much, but I do it. I do it because it has to be done in order to be good, but I don't enjoy it. No, it's the community. It's running with friends that I enjoy.
How often do you run by yourself?
I wouldn't even say once a month.
Really? That rare?
Yeah.
Always with somebody for the most part. That's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I got to get out more. I'm kind of the opposite. I run most of the time by myself for the reasons you mentioned of I like the solitude and the meditative aspect of it.
I wish I had that.
But we're all different.
Yeah, right. I think, I don't know. Most people love it. Most people love doing a couple runs a week at least by themselves. Yeah. I don't.
I'm coming around to running with people more, because I used to avoid running with people as much as I could. Huh. I don't know if it was ego or I was I don't want to slow down and run at other people's paces. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I've
been there.
I felt like I couldn't do my thing if I was with people. But now I think a lot of it's probably ego. I just am getting rid of that. I'm okay, go and be a part of a community and run with people and talk. And like you mentioned, it's those are some of the most powerful, vulnerable conversations you have.
Oh yeah.
When you're out on a 20-mile long run or something and you're all kind of hurting and not feeling too good, you're an open book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why such deep relationships are created through friends that you run with, because, well, not only that, but you spend a lot of time together. I mean, an hour and a half every morning is basically like you're sitting down across from them and talking to them, because you're not doing anything else. You're just running and passively exercising and then talking.
There's nothing else to do but talk.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point, you run out of things to talk about. So you got to get a little bit more personal.
Yeah, it's true.
That's cool. What was the first race back into running?
Yeah, that was CIM. No, that's not true. I did Cap 10K. Cap 10K was my first race.
What year was that?
Cap 10K 2019.
Okay, so sobriety started 2015?
Correct.
And then took 4 years before you did a race.
Yeah, 2019.
Dang. But it was only 2 years of running, right? Because you said 2017 is when you started getting back into it?
No, it would be, I started 2018. I started in December of 2018 is when I started running.
Okay.
And then that next March or April, I did Cap 10K, and then I did a half marathon that following June, and then I did CIM that following December.
Do you remember some of your times from those races?
I do. It's interesting. My 10K was 36:50 or something, which is like 5:55 pace or 5:58 pace. And then my half marathon was 1:16:40 something, and that is 5:55 pace or 5:58 pace, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And then my first marathon was 2:36 something, and it was 5:55, 5:58 pace.
Dang. And so from 2019, were those 3 races?
That was all that year, yeah.
To 2023.
I went from a 10K to a marathon running the same pace, yeah.
That's incredible. Did you think at that time that you'd ever get to where you are now?
Oh, no, not at all. I thought, when I ran 2:36, I thought I didn't know there were people better than that. I was like, this is probably going to win races, right? Yeah,
I mean, that's still fast.
It was very fast. I thought it was the fastest. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that I did that. I wanted to break 3 hours that day. I had it in my head that I wanted to run faster, but my instructions were to go break 3 hours.
And you're at 2:36.
Yeah, and so I said, yeah, I'll go do that, and then I didn't. I did my own plan, which is basically any race that I have a plan for, it never goes according to plan. It's just always, so I don't even make a plan anymore. I'm just gonna go race.
At that first marathon, did you like tell yourself, okay, I'll go at it because sub 3 is like 6:50, and 2:36 is what, like 5:50?
5:50s.
Like, how did that? You just like felt like, oh, this feels pretty good. Like, let's keep doing this.
Yep. Yeah. That first mile, I was like, oh, I feel so good. I just tapered. I'm fresh. Like, it feels great. I'm just gonna go by feel. And I think about, I don't know, at some point in the race, my coach Gilbert was like, you need to slow down. And I was like, well, I'm in it now. So I'm committed. So we'll see how it goes.
Did you ever hit the wall or like have any kind of like cramps or anything like that?
At the time, I thought I hit the wall. But in hindsight, that was not hitting the wall. No. I've hit the wall since then. I've like completely just fallen apart since then.
During a race?
Yeah, during a marathon, yeah.
Which one was that?
The worst I ever fell apart was at Berlin last year.
Really?
Yeah, I was up there pacing. And I was pacing, but also pacing to run a time I had never run before. I knew I could do it, but I had not ever been close. I was going to go pace 2:17 pace, and we made it to 20. We had faded a little bit, but because the runner who I was pacing kind of faded. I got to like mile 23, and both calves cramped up, both hamstrings cramped, like my lower hamstring. So I like and it would like cause my knee to like bend really tight. Oh man. And then when I finished the race, I was like trying to take my jersey off. My shoulders hurt. So I couldn't even lift my arms like above shoulder length. Like,
dude, that happened to me at Boston. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you know what causes that?
No, I don't. I think it's probably like going like this
for over 2 hours.
Yeah. It's happened before, but not that bad. Like every time my shoulders are sore, but I couldn't even like lift my arms to take my jersey off. It was horrible.
Yeah, they never tell you your shoulders are gonna hurt.
No, they sure don't. They do not tell you that.
Oh my gosh, man. So that first year you did those 3 races, and then how did you continue to progress from there? Did you have you're working with Gilbert at that point?
I was with Gilbert until that point. Come January, I started working with Jeff.
Okay.
And Jeff, so I started with Jeff because I was pacing again, and I was helping a girl named Rachel qualify for the Olympic trials. This was like, I was like, yeah, Olympic trials is not for me. There's no way I could get there, but I can help the girls get there because it's only 2:45, sub 2:45. I can definitely do that. So I was doing her workouts, and I got fit by proxy just by being involved and doing some of her workouts. And then so Jeff put together a plan for me specifically, and we went and did Grandma's half marathon that June, and I ran 107, which that day my goal was to break 110. Same sort of situation. I was going to go out at 5:20 pace, and that was what I was supposed to do. And of course I didn't. I went out in 5:10 pace, and
I'm sure Jeff loved that.
yeah, I'm sure I'm sure. But yeah, so there's two things with this, but I've been able to go out at a pace I didn't think I could hold, and I was able to hold it. Aside from that, that wasn't the plan that Jeff had given me, but I want to kind of move forward a little bit and just talk about coaching and stuff like that. But Jeff has never given me a workout or a race plan that I could not accomplish, and I value that so much. I have never I've always lined up at a starting line healthy, and whatever time he says you're going to run, I've either run that time or faster. So I learned to just kind of trust him in the process, because I actually don't know. People ask if I'll coach them, and it would be a disservice because I don't know anything about coaching. I can do what a coach tells me to do. I mean, I know a little bit, but like not enough to like monitor and alter a plan based off of a previous performance. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. So I just listen and do what they tell me, and it seems to work out.
What do you think that is that he has? Maybe that is it just that ability, like you said, to, because in my opinion, I think that's what makes a coach good, is the ability to adapt to each runner, and like you said, based on a performance during a workout or something.
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer. I think Jeff is a great coach for a number of reasons. One of which is being able to like say, hey, okay, that workout was like this. You need to do this next week. We need to change next week's workout because you need to work on that. Or even, and I have rarely done this, but when he's like, hey man, you're done. Go cool down because we're in too deep. Like you're not going to get out of this hole.
Like in the middle of a workout.
Yeah. And that's another huge thing. It's like on my own, I would never quit a workout. I will do it. Even if I'm jogging the last rep, I will finish the workout because that's just who I am. And I don't want to get into a habit of quitting things. Right. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But if coach is like, hey man, you're done. We tried, we'll get it back next week. That's valuable in a coach. And then, like I said, I've lined up at every starting line healthy. I mean, I go back and forth that like, I don't think there's like a secret plan or, I think for the most part, someone who's giving you marathon targeted workouts, and you run a lot of miles and you rest your legs and do the deep tissue foam rolling and you take the right supplements, that you're going to do the best you can. I don't know that for sure. Maybe Jeff has the actual secret code to running. I don't know. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I just do what he says. And
what do you think separates somebody that runs an OTQ time versus somebody that's trying to like qualify for Boston? What do you think separates those people? It's a tough question.
I mean, genetics. Yeah. Anyone running OTQ has the genetics to be a runner. There's no doubt about it. You can't do the couch to 5K and then make it to the Olympic trials in the marathon without some sort of talent in genetics, because it's fast. And so there are plenty of people who run as many miles as me and do as hard of workouts as me, and they just never are going to be there because that's just as far as their body's going to take them. Who knows? Yeah, I would say that's probably it.
Genetics. But there's also, I feel like, a lot of people who may have the genetics, but they don't know it or realize it because they don't push hard enough.
That's a great point. I don't know that I'm a great example of how to do workouts because I sort of go to the well every workout. I've
seen your times, dude.
I basically race every workout. It's been working for me, but I know that it's very frowned upon because it can cause injury, or burnout, or like, I know there's like, neurological consequences to running race pace every time you work out. But I will tell you the biggest game changer for me was mileage. If you can handle high mileage helped so much. I think high mileage helps you do the big workouts, and the big workouts help you run a fast race. But I think mileage was the biggest game changer.
Really? What's your current mileage like during a peak marathon prep?
I have found 105 is like perfect.
Really?
100 above 110. I can't maintain that for more than like 2 weeks. Maybe next time, but I kind of found like 100 to 105 is like perfect.
It's a lot of miles.
It's a lot of miles, man. It's awful.
When you did that first AM, do you remember how many miles a week you were running?
60.
60.
I was doing 10 a day with a day off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you take a rest day?
I have the last 2 weeks. I've done a supplemental bike ride on my rest days.
Always doing something every day though.
Yeah, and during marathon training, I'll take a day off like once every month or 6 weeks or something. But it has gotten to the point where like an 8 mile in the middle of marathon training, an 8 mile easy run is basically a day off. I mean, I'm just out there puttering around, just getting the miles in, time on my feet. But I would say like I take a day completely off every month to 6 weeks.
Yeah. Do you think the genetics, the more crucial part of the genetics, is it more like within the cardiovascular system or within like your muscular?
That's a great question.
I
would say probably cardiovascular system.
You think that's
yeah, because you can train your muscles.
That's
like
true.
If it's your breathing and your cardiovascular system that's holding you back from getting better, then that's kind of harder to improve than if it's your legs that go lactic. That's much easier to improve because you just do it over and over, and then your lactic threshold gets further and further. I definitely think it's like the cardiovascular system that is what is more beneficial.
That makes sense. And from my understanding, I think you kind of just described it, but your VO2 max, obviously cardiovascular, that's a lot more heavily influenced by genetics, whereas lactate threshold, like you said, is a lot easier to change. It's still hard to change, but easier, not so much dependent.
Right. And the only reason, and I don't know this for fact, but the only reason I think this is because what has always held me back, like in a race, like when I blow up or whatever, or when I'm at the end of a workout and I'm really hurting, it's not my breathing that's holding me back. Of course I breathe hard and my heart rate jumps up to like 190 very quickly, but that's not what's hurting me and holding me back. It's my legs. It's my legs that are always, and obviously the longer you train your legs, the more miles you do, and the years you stack up running miles, your legs get stronger, and it's really just getting used to it. It's not even getting stronger. They're just used to the mileage. And I think that's the biggest like catalyst to make you better.
And being able to recover faster after the workout so you can come back the next day.
Right.
Which therefore allows you to put on more miles.
Exactly.
Do you do much strength training?
I try to.
I've seen you ripping deadlifts a few times.
Yeah. I'm sure it's great to watch from all you guys that know how to lift weights.
I mean, I don't know how to lift weights.
Yeah. But I try to because I think it's great for injury prevention. And I also think when I'm doing heavy weights and heavy for me, but like I do like barbell squats and deadlifts and lunges and stuff, I don't feel my form breaking down later in the workouts. So I feel strong all the way through the workouts or races. When I'm not lifting, man, I sort of like, if it's a 10-mile workout, like the last third of it, I feel like I'm like flailing. I feel like I look silly and my legs have just like given out. But when I'm strong, that is completely different. I feel like, and I look at these runners, these like Olympic track runners, and man, throughout the whole race, their form doesn't change. Right. When they are the last lap of whatever race it is, they are going as strong as they were on the first lap. And I think that they do that because of lifting weights.
I think there's a lot to be said about the muscular endurance that you get from strength training.
Yes.
Not just like building strong muscles, but the endurance at the muscular level.
Absolutely.
Is that common with elite? I don't hang out with a lot of elite runners. Well, is that common?
I have had the opportunity to train and hang out with a lot of like Olympic caliber world like competitive on the world level I have got to see what they do and be with them through it and see their coaches and what their coaches tell them. And from what I can see, yes, they lift heavy and heavy for them, but they're not doing like things that they could do a shit ton of reps of. They do like stick with like 6 to 8 reps.
Okay.
So whatever that heavy is for you is what they do, and that's what I try and do.
Okay. Do you train legs like once a week in the gym?
Once or twice a week, yeah.
Okay. Do you do a lot of like single leg stuff?
I try to. I don't, but I try to.
Yeah.
It just takes longer and it's just harder.
Yeah, do both sides.
Yeah, exactly. It takes twice as long. No, I try and do like when I get there, I start with back squats with the barbell, and then I'll do lunges, and then I'll do deadlifts. And then I'll kind of change it up and do like the smaller things, like some RDLs with like the kettlebell and like raising my arm up to like more of like stability and balance things. But I always keep those like 4 core exercises: squats, deadlifts, lunges. I'll do like all the lunges, like forward, back, side, and curtsy lunges.
Do you do much upper body stuff?
Push-ups.
That's it?
Yeah.
Do you do like pull-ups or anything, or just push-ups?
Just push-ups.
Just getting a ripped chest.
Lately, I've wanted to like I've kind of been training shoulders.
Okay.
Not lately, but before lately, when I haven't been to the gym. Like I quit going to the gym like a month ago because I had a race, and then I just never went back. But I was really trying to train shoulders because I just want to have like ripped shoulders because it looks so good.
I mean, as far as I understand, it's not going to help much with running.
No, it definitely won't help with running. No.
You'll look better though.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I do it.
I saw this study the other day that said the amount of push-ups you can do is directly correlated to how long your life expectancy is, because of mostly the cardiovascular health that it takes to be able to do push-ups.
Right.
Which your cardiovascular health is then directly correlated to like how much you exercise.
Right.
And then we know how much exercise can help for our lifespan. So it was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So,
I can see that because push-ups are like easier. It's an easier chest exercise. You're going to do more reps, and I can see where your cardiovascular system really is put in play there.
Damn. Do you do like stretching? I was talking to Will. He said he never stretches.
No, Will never stretches.
Do you stretch?
I try to.
Yeah.
I don't. I have not been foam rolling at all since like September, or maybe since December. I have not. I try to stretch. I stretch more than I foam roll for sure, and I think foam rolling is more beneficial. But stretching is easy and quick, and yeah, I mean my hamstrings and quads, I stretch.
Yeah, I'm torn on stretching. It feels good, but I don't know if it ever does anything for me.
I don't know if it does either.
I had this girl on the podcast. She talked about it. She said there's not a lot of clear studies on whether. She said it's not going to hurt anything,
right?
Really, but it's not clear if it actually is going to help you out when it comes to running, at least.
I'll be honest, I don't know if half the things I do help.
Well, you're doing something right, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I wonder if I'm doing all this and really the extra stuff that I do doesn't do anything, and I could have spent that time doing other things. But
that's how I feel about like supplements or like different things like that. It's like, are these multivitamins really doing something?
Right.
But I'm like, I'll just take it.
I know that's where I'm at. I take it. I do everything. I take the supplements. I take the vitamins, and I do the stretches. And I don't know if it works or not. But
that's right. Do you do much like mental strength training? I guess that's the right way to put it. Mental strength training.
Yeah. So kind of getting back to the iRace workouts. I think that I'm mentally tough because of that. I mean, I'm telling you, I go to the well most Wednesdays when I do a workout.
What does that look like for you what is that like?
Oh man, it's brutal. I mean, it's basically going all out. As hard as I can possibly go, I'll take it for that last rep.
Where's your mind at when you're in that moment?
It's like some sort of sick sort of thing that I got going on here, but if I'm not completely wiped out after I get so much gratification from being so wiped out after a workout that like I tell myself, man, I really accomplished something. Like that was worth it. Like the more sore I am and the more like just so exhausted I am, the more I'm like, I worked so hard, and that is such an accomplishment. I get like gratification out of it. I don't recommend it. I don't think it's healthy. I think it's I walk a line of like injury very often. I've never been there, knock on wood, but yeah, I don't think it's a great idea. But I do think it has made me mentally tough. And I think that when it starts to hurt in a race, I've been there many times in workouts.
Do people that you do these workouts with, do they go to that same place? Like, are they pushing as hard as you?
No,
No?
I don't think so. It's not recommended by any coach ever. No one said, maybe like once a month you go all out, but it's not recommended at all.
You do it like once a week, basically.
Yeah. For the most part, I go all out in most of my workouts.
Maybe there's something to it.
There might be, I don't know.
Working.
It is working. And so until it stops working, I'll keep doing it.
Do you do any kind of like meditation or like cold plunging, sauna, any of that stuff? Because I know a lot of people do that for.
I used to do a lot of meditation. I don't much anymore. Cold plunge. So I've hated on it for so long just because I think it's so dumb. However, I did a contrast sauna, cold plunge. Man, it was great. It really was great.
Did you do it at Squatch?
I did it at Squatch.
Nice.
Yeah. It was, honestly, I felt great after. I was like, this is why they do it. It's honestly so great. I'm not going to, I don't know that it has any like physiological effects on like recovery or whatever, but it makes you feel great.
I think from my understanding, I mean, listening to like Huberman talk about it, the neurological effects,
which
are, they're insane.
Yeah. I also think it helps mentally for sure. Yeah. But man, I had just done a big workout, like lifting workout at the gym, and I had run a big running workout that morning, and I was like completely wiped out. I went in that sauna and I was even more wiped out. And then I got in that cold plunge, and when I got out of that, I was like, wow, I feel brand new. It was incredible.
Dude, I have one at my house.
I know you do. Yeah,
I do it pretty much every day.
Dude, like, really, honestly, like, I hate it because it's in my head so silly, but man, it really works.
What do you not like about it so much?
Just
is it like, cause it's like mainstream?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole TikTok.
You probably hate everything I do then.
I don't hate that you do it. I just wouldn't do it because I think it's silly, but it works for you. I mean, obviously you've got a great following of it works. I know that it works. Now that I've tried it, I know that works, but I'm talking about all the mainstream things. Like, they're only mainstream because they work and because people like it and because it's interesting content.
Yeah.
If I was offered, hey, I'll give you this cold plunge for free, you can keep it at your house, I'd be like, yeah. And I would use it every day for sure.
I'll tell you, I mean, I feel good physically after I do it, but it's for sure just for the mental benefits. Yeah. You might attest to this too, but when I get in, it's the first like 30 seconds. Oof. Reminds me of how you feel at mile 20 of a marathon. It's that same, it's a fight or flight response, basically. It is, yeah. Of like, I want to get out. I really, really want to get out, but you have to fight that and stay in it.
Man, that's interesting you say that, because I'd say the last 10K of every marathon I've ever done, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get through this mile and then I'm going to hop off the course. Yeah. I'm going to get through this mile and then I'm stepping off the course. I'm going to get through this mile and then I'm going to pretend to trip and scrape my knee and then step off the course. Like, every single mile, that's what's going through my head. Yeah.
Every marathon.
Oh, probably every race.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if it's like a 10K or something, it's like.
Oh yeah, I'd even say even more so on a 10K, because they all hurt equally. Yeah. They all just are so horrible.
What's your favorite distance to run?
Whatever distance I'm not running at the time. When I'm running a marathon, I'm like, why can't there just be a 5K? Yeah. When I'm running a 5K, I'm like, I'd rather run a marathon. Yeah, I don't know. Whichever distance I have in front of me about to run, that's the worst every time.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I used to think that there was actually a race I preferred, but I don't think there is.
What's your nutrition look like?
As far as like on like a daily,
day-to-day basis, and then like how do you fuel for like a workout?
So I'll start with day-to-day. I'm very routine and habit oriented. I basically eat the same thing. I only eat 2 meals a day. I eat breakfast and then I eat a very early dinner. And I basically eat the same thing every day. On weekends, I'll change it up and go out to eat and stuff. But I meal prep on Sunday or Monday, and I grill a bunch of meat. I grill like some skirt steak, some chicken, and then I have some shrimp, and I have all 3 of those in the fridge at one time. And then I will get a bunch of vegetables and chop them up and just have them in plastic bags. And then every night, and my wife now eats the same thing with me every day too. Nice. But I'll just throw them in a like a wok. And I will stir fry them and throw the meat in there and then just put it on rice. And that's what I eat every day for dinner. Dang, I change up the veggies and the meat every once in a while, but.
So some kind of meat, vegetables,
and rice. Every day.
You ever get sick of it?
Yeah, but I get sick of it for like a day or two, and then I will go a weekend where I won't have it, and then back Monday I'm like, oh, I love my rice bowl.
Do you put like sauces?
I put teriyaki sauce.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to steal that. I'm not a big vegetable guy. I don't really eat a lot of vegetables.
I mean, you put enough teriyaki sauce on a piece of cardboard and you'll be a cardboard guy. I mean,
teriyaki. That's
dude,
funny.
it's so good. Yeah.
Where did you get this this bowl idea? Just something you came up with?
It started. I was in Park City with Jordan Hasse, and she does the same thing. It wasn't a rice bowl at that point. It has evolved over time, but she would. We were roommates up in Park City, and she would eat the same thing every day, and she would eat a big salad with all sorts of veggies, and then a bowl of rice, just a plain bowl of rice, or with cheese or something, with mozzarella cheese. And so, of course, I'm such a creature of habit. Like, I was like, perfect, I'll do this. And so I actually made the same salad that she made for like a year after I learned it. And then after that, I started putting the same salad, just on top of rice with like hot chicken. And then from there, it moved to like, okay, I'm just going to do some broccoli on the stove. And I put that on the salad. And then I cut out the salad altogether, and I just started heating up vegetables. And then I started putting them on rice, and then it just became like a rice stir fry.
So you said you eat 2 meals a day?
2 meals a day.
Is it the same meal both times?
No, I'll eat breakfast, like, and I'm pretty lenient with breakfast. Like, I love pancakes and waffles.
Okay.
I usually eat pancakes or waffles after a long run or after a workout. But otherwise I just get some tacos or I make eggs at home, eggs and some kind of meat at home.
Dude, there's something about pancakes after a long run.
Dude, I've loved, my mom made me pancakes as like a kid growing up forever and ever. And you would think I would hate them, but I just love them so much. It's my 100% favorite food ever is pancakes.
I love that.
Yeah.
How do you feel for a long run?
Yeah.
Or a workout?
Unless it's like marathon specific, I don't really fuel. Electrolytes are more important than like fuel, like carbs and stuff. In this heat,
yeah,
it will wipe you out, just getting dehydrated or not having enough electrolytes. But during marathon training, I will, before a workout, I'll usually start with like a carb drink mixed with electrolytes, like 90 minutes before the workout. And then during the workout, I will drink electrolytes and just take like a performance gel throughout.
Do you use Morton?
I use Morton. I will say this, so say the workout altogether is 14 miles. I will cram in 6 gels in that 14 miles because that's what I take on race days, 6 gels. And I think that has benefited me hugely because I can take down gels like nothing on race day.
Really? So just the habit of it.
Well, it's the habit, but like just getting your stomach used to it. I think this has helped huge is during marathon training, I double every day. I'll run in the morning and I'll run at night. But I eat dinner at like 4 p.m. and then immediately after dinner, I'll go for my second run. And at first it was like the most horrible thing I ever experienced because I'm like burping and like almost throwing it. But after that, I got used to it. And now I can literally eat a full meal and go for a 5-6 mile run like nothing. And I think that has also really helped my performance, like in the aspect of nutrition during a race.
Yeah, the GI aspect of running is like, that's one of the hardest things to figure out too.
Yeah, it sure is. It's so disappointing because everything can be perfect. Yeah. And then you have stomach problems and that takes you out of a race.
Damn. So you'll do, like, no matter the length of a marathon paced workout, you'll cram 6 gels in.
I try to, yeah. I will cram in way more than I actually need because really you're not going to get too much carbs.
Right.
As long as your stomach can handle it, there's no downside to taking more carbs. The more you can take, the better, really. But yeah, I practice because I see a lot of my friends and other runners that like, they have that like nutritional bonk.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, it can be avoided, just taking in calories during the race.
Damn.
And so practicing that has been very important because honestly, my biggest fear on race day is that my stomach's going to hurt and I got to stop and go to the bathroom.
Yeah. I might have to steal that tactic because I feel like,
dude,
that's one thing I always realize towards the end of a prep when you're on like a 20, 22 mile workout or something and you're taking a lot of gels. You're like, this is a lot.
Yeah. It's horrible. And it makes your stomach feel horrible afterwards. But I think it's pretty necessary if you want it to go well on race day.
Nice. So you said you have a marathon later this fall?
Yes.
And it's like a private marathon, basically?
There are pretty strict qualifications to get in. Basically, you have to have a time that reflects that you could potentially run the Olympic trials qualifier. But there will be a huge group trying to do that, but there will also be a decent sized group trying to go for something a little quicker. But the advantage is it's like a 3-mile loop.
Oh,
which
wow.
honestly sounds horrible, but it's just so controlled. Like you can
Yeah.
control, it's a 3-mile loop. Everybody in the race gets like accommodations like bottles.
Nice.
and it's just very controlled. It's flat. It's going to be fast. There's going to be pacers. It's just a race that I can just go try and go for something crazy.
Where is that at?
It's going to be in upstate New York.
New York. What month is that?
I believe it's the first weekend of October.
Okay, so you're probably getting ready to go back into a build for that, right? Are you kind of always in a build for the most part?
No, I think the biggest difference, whether I'm in a marathon build or not, is mileage. Like right now I'm doing like 60 miles a week with a day off. And the marathon, I mean, the workouts are also a little shorter, but I think it's like a summer, like base phase, basically.
Okay.
Like we're doing hard workouts, but nothing that's going to like, wear me out too much. And of course my mileage is much lower, so that makes a huge difference on like my day-to-day tiredness. But yeah, it's just something easier to maintain in the heat and stuff.
And you think like 2:14, 2:13 is the goal there?
That's my goal. Yeah.
What pace is that? Is that 5?
So 5:10 pace is like, maybe it could even be like 2:15. No, I think 5:10 pace is going to be 2:14 high, but I'm going to be aiming for like 5:07 pace.
That's so damn fast.
Yeah, it blows my mind. Honestly, like my last marathon pace blows my mind. I'm like, how did I do that?
Dude, it's super impressive, man. And all these things, like as unsure you sound about all of them, like clearly you're doing a lot of things right.
Well, I don't know how. I just listen to other people who have done it. And that goes for literally everything in my life. I see people who have what I have or have what I want and do what I want to do, and I just ask them questions and I just do exactly what they say.
That's powerful. That's why I'm talking to you right now. 'Cause I'm like, how do I run a OTQ marathon?
Yeah, well, talk to your coach because he'll know he'll be able to break it down a little better.
No, I think that's a super important point, though. Is like that's the fastest path to success. Is
man.
like find somebody that's doing what you want to do and just surround yourself with those people.
Right.
Ask them questions.
Absolutely.
More often than not, they're going to tell you exactly how they got there.
They are, and they're 90% of the time super willing to tell you or enjoy telling you because they're proud of it and they want to share it. This is how I'm proud of where I've gotten in running. I love talking about running. I'm proud of where I've gotten in sobriety. I'd love to talk about sobriety. My career, I love talking about real estate. That's, I could talk about it all day.
That's awesome, man. When are the Olympic trials?
February 2024, like first week of February 2024.
Okay. So you'll have like 4 months. So probably right after that fall marathon, you go right into the prep for that, basically.
Correct.
What's the goal there? Do you have a goal set for that?
Yeah. So I know that some may be like, that wouldn't be their A race because obviously, I mean, it is a long shot for me to make it to the Olympics. Not impossible, but everything has to be perfect and I have to like pull some crazy time out of my butt to make it happen, but it's possible. But I will train for it as an A race because I would like to just compete and see where I rank in the US.
Yeah. What does that process look like once you actually qualify for the trials? Where do you go from there? So
you qualify for the trials, which is in Orlando. So it'll be the day before the Orlando Marathon, I believe. Okay. Like last time it was the day before the Atlanta Marathon.
Okay.
And so everyone who is qualified will line up together and race each other. So basically the OTQ is you've qualified to race in the race that the top 3 runners go to the Olympics.
Top 3. Do you know how many people will race in that?
I don't. Last marathon cycle, I think it was like 250 or something.
And only 3 people.
Yeah, only 3 people.
Holy shit.
And this year it could very well be a smaller group because the time got faster. But people say that, but I think it won't be smaller. The qualifier gets faster, people get faster. Right. People adapt.
Yeah. Damn. That's crazy. That's so strict.
Yeah.
With how few people they let in.
Yeah.
That's going to be a cool experience, though.
It will be very cool. And I was actually at the last one watching, and it was
nice.
So cool watching. So I can't wait to actually be a part of it.
Damn. The last one was in Atlanta, you said?
Atlanta, yeah.
Nice. Do they change it every year, I'm assuming?
They do, yeah. So they do. They like they go with whoever gives them the best bid on, I'm not actually sure what goes into it.
Okay.
Orlando is not going to be ideal because it's going to be hot, but at least I train, and like where I train is perfect for training for Orlando.
Damn. What's the goal after that? Have you thought that far yet? Where do you go?
Yeah,
because I have. Because I feel like for a lot of people, it's like qualify for Boston. Then from there, you got to work down to OTQ maybe if you can do that. And
so
then where do you go from there?
I don't necessarily have like a time goal, but I do want to. It's so nice having like achieved the goal that I've really worked on for so long, because now I can go to races and race. There's one thing when you're racing the clock than when you're just racing everyone else in the race, and it's way more fun to race other runners than to race a clock. It's just like it can be so disappointing when you don't get the time. Right. But if you go out and race people, then it's just kind of fun. It's like, you're doing, it's strategic, and it's basically just like who's gonna hold on the longest, and then who's got the best kick, and that's way more fun for me.
That sounds like fun.
So to answer your question, I would love to do some international races. I do now have a time that will allow races to pay for my travel and maybe give me a hotel and like elite program stuff. So it makes it a little easier to go international for stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you done all 6 majors, or do you plan on doing all 6?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably not Boston maybe 2025.
That's a cool experience.
Dude, I've heard so many great things. I would love to do that, but I'd also like to go back to Berlin, and I'd like to do Tokyo.
You've done London?
No. I think that's the hardest one to get into.
Yeah, because I think there's a qualifying time, right?
Maybe you've got to be like the top tier athlete to get into London. You can apply, but it's just like everybody else.
Yeah. Well, you're also probably running, like, you probably don't register like as a
regular runner, but
right?
I think at London I would.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think London it's definitely the hardest world major to get into.
Okay. Damn, that's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm. But I would love to do London.
Do you have any interest in like ultras or trail running eventually?
Yeah, I do have interest. I saw Sally McCree's documentary, and that just got me so stoked.
Yeah,
because it's just so. I mean, you're in the ultra space, like it's pretty, like you see, like it's like a great experience as well as a race, and I would love to do that. I think trail races sound fantastic.
They're so much fun. It's so different too. Like the prep is kind of similar.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more just easy miles, like a lot more like the boring stuff.
Well, and then, I mean, you got to worry about like you've got to be decent at like the what's the word, like technicality. Yeah, the technicalness of the course.
And,
yeah, exactly. Like
there's so many more elements too, like the weather and I don't know, there's just so much to it. Like this one I'm gonna go do in 2 weeks in Wyoming. It's like notorious for mud.
Oh wow.
Like there's like last year when I did it, there was like mud up to your knees.
Oh,
so it's
man,
like
that's brutal.
You're not running fast through that. It's just like try and get through it without breaking an ankle or something.
Yeah. It's, I mean, what's the furthest you've gone?
50 miles.
Oh, that's insane.
I mean, it would be nothing for you.
I don't think so, dude. I mean, if I trained for it, maybe, but like right now, it's just so far. It's a different kind of mental toughness.
What I find with ultras is like, as opposed to the marathon is short in comparison.
Right.
But with ultras, like after about 2 to 3 hours, you reach a point where everything just kind of hurts because you're not going that fast.
Right.
But like over time, like the lactic acid builds up and everything's just kind of tight and sore. But it never really gets worse.
Right.
It's just like, how long can you continue?
Well, that's the thing is that you've got to like continue.
Yeah.
Like as bad as it hurts, and it's not like it's going to make you stop running, but it's very, very, very uncomfortable.
Right. And
that is pretty miserable in my opinion.
Yeah. I haven't done anything over 50. Next year I'm going to do 100 for sure.
Oh,
that's on the list. And I've heard that 50 is not, because it takes about 12 hours to do 50 miles and 100 is obviously more like 24 hours.
Right.
So you have more time to go through the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs. So I don't know really if I've experienced the full spectrum of what it's like to do that.
I mean, I think you've experienced a big part of it, but yeah, I think 100 miler is a whole nother story.
Yeah. Well, I know you'd crush it if you ever decide to go down that route.
I don't know if I'm that mentally tough to like.
Oh,
it's
dude.
it's that like nagging uncomfortableness that
Yeah.
it's just horrible. I mean, that's basically what the marathon is, at least because I haven't experienced a longer distance. But like a 5K, that thing hurts from the gun. Half marathon hurts pretty bad once you've done it, but when you've got a third left. But the marathon is like, it doesn't really hurt until those last couple miles.
Right.
It's just so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, how long can you just keep running this same pace and just be very annoyingly uncomfortable?
Yeah, that's why we do it, though.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Is to get to that point. I don't think you run a marathon for the first 20 miles.
No.
You do it for the last 6.
Right. Yeah.
Well, man, what's the one last question?
Sure.
What is the like ultimate goal for Mitch Ammons? Do you have like a grand vision for where you want things to go?
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I know I love running right now, but I'm also super interested in other sports like cycling and CrossFit. And so I don't know. I am going to really have to evaluate after where I'm at after the trials, because I kind of want to like give it a go in cycling, and I've always wanted to be a CrossFitter. I do not love being this skinny little twig. I will tell you that I don't love it. It's sort of like the worst part about running, is just being so skinny.
Yeah.
I'd love to like put on some muscle and be able to do like muscle ups. That would be so cool. But yeah, I have no idea. I love fitness and I love the communities surrounding fitness. So whatever it is, it'll be involved in that somehow.
I love that, man. Well, you're super inspiring.
Well,
You've got a super powerful story, and I appreciate you coming on and being vulnerable and sharing it with everybody. And I know you're going to impact a lot of people more than you already are.
Oh,
So
thanks, Jeremy.
I appreciate you coming on and chatting. I really enjoyed this, dude. This is fun. Where can people find you or connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram, I check all my messages, and I mean, I try and reply pretty quickly. It's at Mitch Ammons, MITCHAMMONS is just my name. Yeah, Instagram's great. I don't really have any other social media.
Beautiful. You don't need it. You just go out and run fast. That's all you need to worry about.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank you,
for coming
Jeremy.
on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you in the next one.